time. So now I can hear you, and now you can hear me.
Excellent. Great. Okay, well, I hope that everybody had a great couple weeks. I am really sorry about last week. There was a significant issue. My computer had stopped working completely, and there was nothing I could do. All my stuff, all my interactivity is on the computer for this class, and so there really was nothing I could do. And I'm so sorry. I'm working on getting caught up with grades. You could probably tell the moment when my computer came back fixed because I started grading assignments. Yeah, it was about a half an hour ago. So I'm looking at this, what people have been turning in, and I'm really rather pleased that so many things are being done and being turned in. This is excellent. And I want to point out a couple things that I hope people remember. One is, if you look down here, grade attendance. This is, can you see this, Nick, what I'm showing?
Yes, I can.
Okay. What this tells me is that 23 people submitted their attendance work for October 9th. And that's something else that so I need to grade that. You can see that there's a number of things that I've got to work on doing. And I will be going through that this week, hopefully get it done as rapidly as possible. Now, I want to remind people of a couple things. One is, and these people have both done it and others have too. One is when you submit an assignment and you don't get all the points that you want, look at my notes and resubmit. And you'll be fine. And you will almost always get more points unless you completely ignored what the whole assignment was about. I have had a couple students do that where they resubmitted 3 times and they were somehow reading the different assignment description. When I finally figured it out, we were able to apply their submission to the correct assignment. But so that's one thing, making sure that you resubmit when you don't get the points that you want. Number two is I would like you to um, go through, make sure that you watch all the videos and have your points for all of the attendance submissions. Now, like I said last week, my computer broke, so we are not going to have an attendance for the oh, what week did we miss? I think it was the 16th. We're probably not going to have attendance for that week, but I will do attendance for this week. This is the week of the 23rd. So this one I'm going to go ahead and make disappear. Unless, I don't know, Nick, maybe, okay, I have an idea. In case people want me to do it, if you guys think that this is okay, I am going to submit another couple of videos for you to watch for that week. And you can do it or not. If you don't do it, it's not going to count against you. But if you do it, then you will get extra points for it. And so that's just a way, I guess, of curbing our bets regarding attendance. And so this will go up tonight for October 23rd. And the next one will be next week where we will meet on All Hallows Day, November 1st. And then after that, we only have 4 more meetings together, I believe. So that's what I'm going to do regarding attendance, I think. What do you think, Nick?
That works fine to me.
Okay. I will find a couple of videos that I think are pretty cool. And if you watch all of them and make comments and submit those, then you'll get the points for the attendance. A couple of things. One ongoing concern that I have is I hope that everybody has double checks their research versus service learning projects and make sure that you are only getting or have responsibility for the one that you've chosen. I think we have about a half a dozen people doing service learning and everybody else is doing the artist research. With the artist research, project. I hope that is going well. The things that I'm seeing, they're looking pretty good, but I am noticing several things that preclude getting full points. And the things that I'm noticing are, for example, and we're talking first, we're going to talk about research, then we're going to talk about service learning. For the research, for the annotated bibliography, one thing I'm noticing is people need to be aware that this is a bibliography, like we spoke about, annotated bibliography. I'm going to pop over to that really quick so you can see. Okay, this is the annotated bibliography. With the annotated bibliography, let's see. Okay, you need. Okay, right here it says 8 sources. I will edit that. I thought I'd fix that. You only need 5 sources for your bibliography if you're doing the research. And down here, what I've provided is guidelines and templates for the MLA format for each one. And there's a couple things that are really important to remember. You need 5 sources, and we need 5 to 8 sentences in 2 paragraphs for the annotations. All right. Another thing that's really important, there's 2 other things that I want to touch on that are really important. One of those 2 other things is everything needs to be alphabetically arranged according to that first letter in each citation. And what that first letter is going to vary depending on what kind of citation it is. If it's a video, if it's a magazine article, if it's an article in a newspaper, if it's a show catalog, that first letter may be the last name of the author. It may be the first letter of the article title, or it may be the first letter of the first name of the first author listed or the first artist listed in the catalog. It really depends. This is, according to MLA standard, this is the first letter of the first name as listed in the show catalog. Now, one thing that I did not put on this that I will as soon as we're done tonight is we also need to have an accessed on date line. And I'm going to edit it right now so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. So I changed that 8 to 5. Going down here, we need 5 to 8 sentences in 2 paragraphs. The first paragraph can have 2 to 3 sentences. The next paragraph can have 5 sentences. So in this, what we need to have at the end of the citation is called an accessed on statement. And you can do whatever format for the date you'd like, but there's a specific reason for this. I'm going to say, all right, Nick, can you see this? What I've just typed in?
Yes, I can.
Okay. The reason why this is important, we have the full MLA citation right here with the names and everything like that. In this particular style, I've chosen the periods in between each information grouping. And then at the end of that last period, which will be the year date of publication, I've written an accessed on date. And this is what you need to have for online internet resources. And the reason is the internet is changing all the time. It's always flexing. And if you don't have the exact address with an accessed on date, sometimes that address that you used can change. But there's archive.org, and waybackmachine.org, which both of those websites, you can plug in the web address of what you did and then the date that you accessed it, and it will show you, it will pull up exactly what that website looked like on that date. Can you guess why that might be important?
Maybe at a later date you could use it for later.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That gives you, if you, when you put this accessed on date for any internet resource, it means that at any point in the future, you can find that exact page that you used, whether or not they delete the website. This is important for a couple reasons. One thing that I found is that if, like for example, Jean-Claude and Christo have both passed away, their foundation is maintaining their website, which is really great. But that is not true of every artist. And their foundation has changed how things are. So I had to go through some of the links that I was providing people were wrong because the foundation changed the website. So I had to go through, find the right appearance using a Wayback Machine or archive.org. And then I was able to backtrack and find what the updated link was because the original one was no longer functioning. And it is also important if you're looking for specific information, sometimes, like if you are, for example, linking to a YouTube video, if the people that have put the YouTube video up revamp their own website, you're going to lose that address. And so that's why that's really important. Now, this particular MLA citation did not need it because it was not an internet access point. This was an actual physical catalog that is referenced, but I'm going to put the accessed on date anyway so people have that and know what it looks like. All right. So again, the only type of sources you need the accessed on date for is internet sources. You know, like videos, online articles, online like artist websites, things like that. All right. So you won't always need it. So I've updated that and edited it. Now, so that's touching on the annotated bibliography. Now, if you don't do things alphabetical, you're going to miss 5 points until you go back in and restructure it. If you miss the accessed only ones, you'll miss a point for each of those. If you put down the website address instead of the actual correct MLA citation format, then that'll cost you some points. But it's not a big deal because read my notes and you go back, you'll redo it, you'll fix whatever you missed the first time around, turn it in, you get the perfect points. All right. And it may be that all you need to do is write another couple sentences. Like, for example, maybe you put a paragraph in that's summing up what you saw, but you forgot to write your own perspective on it, or maybe the other way around. And it's not a big deal. Just go ahead and do it and resubmit it. All right. Now with the service learning, so that is for the artist research. The service learning ones, this is a little bit different, but I've tried to format the service learning ones so that the two service learning points are add up to the same as the artist research points. So you'll notice that there's two separate service learning requirements here, but both of them add up to the same number of points for the artist research. And next week, it looks like some people have, nobody has turned in the PowerPoint presentation yet. Next week, Hopefully people will have started doing that so we can show that. But I also want to, let's see, if you look at the PowerPoint presentation, there's a couple things, if you're going to be doing artist research, there's a couple things that I want you to be aware of. One is it needs to be in WAV, MOV, or MP4 format. Any other format, my computer will not read it. And so, there has been a couple times when I've had to tell people, I'm sorry, this is the wrong format. We can't access it. Please change it to one of these. And several of those people have told me that there are lots of free file translators. I don't know what the official word now is for you young people, but they will take whatever file you put in and translate it so it becomes WAV, MOV, or MP4. And the easiest way to do that is to make a PowerPoint presentation and record it with video. Let's see if I can, I'm going to try to, oh, this is weird. Okay, my computer is acting odd again. It's not bad, but I'm just trying to find, okay, that's not it. I am trying to find my PowerPoint. Oh, that's weird. Okay, I hope you guys didn't, I hope you didn't see that. But I am trying to find where PowerPoint is on my computer. So there we go. I don't know if I can, I'm going to try to share this part of my screen with you guys. Oh, I'm not able to do it. Okay. I wanted to show you.
Hello. So
This is what the PowerPoint screen looks like. For whatever reason, I cannot show it to you on my computer screen. But from my computer, all I can do is pull up a video file showing the PowerPoint. But if you look across the top, I hope you can see it, Nick, but there's a red square that says File. If you are in your PowerPoint, you can look up File, and that will take you to a point where you can actually record your PowerPoint through your microphone, and you can record yourself showing your PowerPoint on video. So the PowerPoint program will automatically make a video of you talking and speaking as you go through your PowerPoint slides. So I'm going to change that. And this link that I provided takes you right to that video so you can see how they do it. All right. With the PowerPoint, so look at that, make sure that you can record it. Now, I have had people who, even though as a student of UVU, you are supposed to have access to PowerPoint and several other of those type of apps. If that is not the case, if you if you don't have it or you can't access an up-to-date version, there are several other ways of doing the PowerPoint. One is, and I've had people do this, they will set up a Teams meeting, and in that Teams meeting, they will do share screen, and they when the screen share, that's where they will show all their slides, and they will record in the Teams meeting them talking as they go through their slides. That's a second way to do it. And then the third way to do it, and I've had a couple of people do this before too, is get those little tripod uh, doohickeys for your camera, and they've set that up in front of their computer screen, and then recorded a video with them talking so that their camera phone makes a video of them speaking as they are showing their PowerPoint slides. If you go to our class channel on YouTube, which is you can get to pretty easily through every link in the attendance module. If you go to that, you can look up the artist research PowerPoints list and see how different people have done that. And I think I may have even included down here towards the bottom. Okay, it looks like I don't have, I will, as soon as we're done, I will put that link on here too. So you can see what other people's PowerPoints look at like. When you do this, the way you'll do it is look at your annotated bibliography, look at the 5 sources that you've done, and then you're going to find slides that fit with those sources. And most likely slides that you've pulled from the sources that you found. And I'd say have a couple more slides than the number of citations that you have. So maybe 7 to 8 slides, because what you'll do is the first slide will be an open slide that will show your artist's name and a piece of their work and a photo of them or one or the other. Then your next slide will be your the first annotated bibliography citation, and you can talk about that. You don't have to read from your bibliography, you can just talk about it. Then the third slide will be your second citation, your fourth, unlike that. So you're all done with your 5 citations, and then your last slide, your 7th slide, will be, and I'm sorry, each of those slides will have a photo from that source that you cited, like a piece of artwork or maybe an exhibit. If one of your things was an interview with the person at the exhibit or whatever, you'll have pictures that reference the material that you found in your citations. And then after you go through that with each of your 5 citations, the very last slide will be just a screenshot of your citations. So that's an easy way of doing it. And when you do this, you can, if you need to, read your annotations with each slide, but I would recommend having your annotations as notes to look at, to refer to, and just talk about what you see in light of those 4 steps of artistic critique. And those 4 steps are description, analysis, interpretation, and then evaluation. And so when you look at a PowerPoint presentation, when it's all done, when you submit it, the first slide, you're going to be saying something like, my artist was so-and-so, and this is the stuff that I found out about him. I was really surprised because I learned a lot. And that first slide will show your artist's name and a picture of them or a picture of their work. Then the second slide will be referencing a piece of artwork that you discovered with one of your citations. And instead of having any lettering on the slide, it will just have a picture of the artwork. And you will say, this artwork is from a show that was done. And then you'll talk about the annotation and what you think about it. And you can even spend a minute saying, I really like this work because I noticed these textures and this kind of stuff. And then you'll do that with each of the slides in your PowerPoint presentation. And the last slide will be a screenshot of your actual citation sources. All right. Does that make sense? Nick, are you doing artist research or are you doing service learning? in any, I hope that makes sense to you. We'll go over it again next week, and hopefully more people will be able to make it so we can talk about it more. But if you have any questions, let me know. But I tried to make this as clear as I can, and I will also include a link to a page that has examples of other people's presentations. All right, and I'll put that link in like right around here. Okay. And let's see. And I'm thinking, I would also like your feedback, guys, too. I think it'd be okay to put up a discussion board where you get, a few points just for submitting a link to your completed PowerPoint video. That way everybody can see it. I think that'd be really good. Now with the service learning, if you are doing a service learning project, this is going to be a little bit different. And what you are going to be doing is sharing your project with everybody else. And you're going to be doing it with an opinion paper. So this is different. The first one for the artist research people, they are doing an annotated bibliography. If you are service learning, you're going to be doing an opinion paper that is a reflection of your experience doing the service project. And the reason why it seems like it is so much less than the annotated bibliography and the PowerPoint is because that opinion paper is going to represent 15 hours of work that you've done in your service learning project. So it looks like it's less work, but it represents every bit as much work as the other thing. It's just a smaller volume of deliverable. Now, one option that you can do is, and we can talk about this if you'd like, I'm also exploring the idea of doing something where you do a 5-minute video recounting your experience instead of the opinion and reflection paper. And you can write notes for your opinion and reflection paper and then record yourself and sharing images from your service project and things like that. So you have a 5-minute video that talks about your service project. And I think that if you guys are good with that for the service learning people, let's talk about that more, because I think that would allow us to show what your project was to everybody else in the class. And I think that would be a really good thing to do. Because then everybody could see what you were doing. So I will put that, I'll put up the, okay, wait a sec. I just really confused myself. I talked about a number of different things there. This is a problem, okay? You guys have already been doing the annotated bibliography, and okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I was just confusing myself. I'm sorry. I did not mean to confuse you guys. So the annotated bibliography is for 7.B, and for 7.C is the PowerPoint video. Okay. Now we've gotten a couple people who have turned in the artistic critique, their own work and somebody else's work. And every time I put those up on the video on our YouTube channel, I'm sending out videos to everybody. So I'm updating that. And I would like people, let's see, the two artistic critiques. I would like everybody that has completed those, take the link that I've sent you for our YouTube channel, or if you have your own thing, and post it in the discussion board as soon as you can. let's see, I guess you can't see that. Hold on a sec. All right. You can see here, one of the last element of this is the two artistic critiques discussion board. And when you do your critique, one of the things you need to do after you do both critiques is make sure that the link is in the discussion board. And you can either post the file that you've sent me, or after I upload the file to YouTube, I will send you a link and you can post that link on this. Or if you want to put it on YouTube or Vimeo or something like that yourself, you can do that too. But I would like very much to have everybody post those to the discussion board just as soon as you can. Let's see. And I'm thinking that, yeah, that'll be for everybody. I think that'll be really good, because then everybody can see everybody else's. If you guys think that is too big of a pain in the neck, tell me right away, because what I will do is I will take that assignment off, and then just make sure everybody has the direct link to the page that has all these critiques on there. In fact, okay, for everybody that watches this video, let me know what you think. Tell me, let me show you this really quick. What I've got in this module is you do your own artistic critique of your own work, you do an artistic critique of somebody else's work, and then you're supposed to post the videos on this. I would like you guys to tell me as soon as you possibly can. Let me know, should I just get rid of this and I'll turn this line into a page that has just the link to these on our YouTube channel, so you can just go and watch everybody else's thing instead of having to post your artistic critique on the discussion. I would like to hear from everybody who can either write that as one of your 5 things for attendance or email me your opinion about it. Okay. And let me know what you think. Now, we did look at, last time we did look at some very good examples of the carved biomorphic abstraction. Remember, it was smooth, it was organic looking, everything was smoothed out. I had several people texting and emailing me saying, I can't get it really smooth because it starts granulating when I use the sandpaper. Well, you get it as smooth as you can. Then when you apply the paper mache and start drying it, the paper mache dries, you can sand it down and that will get it really smooth. So, do the best you can. And the ones that aren't quite finished, I made comments about that. If you need to sand it more, go ahead and sand it more. Now, the paper mache, most people have been doing this, and that is, you guys are almost all done with that. That is great. If I say anything like you need to sand it down or whatever, sand it down, make it as smooth as you can. Because we want these to be organic, biomorphic abstractions, just like the examples we've been talking about. With the texture and light, this, I'm sorry, but I get all flustered up with my words when I talk about this. The color tiles, the texture and color tiles.
Can I say something real quick? Ooh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
To be perfectly honest, and sorry to interrupt you while you were talking. To be perfectly honest, my color tiles were much easier to do than my texture ones, because I was using the hot glue gun. And I have to say, I did burn myself a couple times, and it was a pain in my backside just to get it to stick and stay there.
Well, I think that's part of the process. I mean, as
You live and you learn.
well, you're going to recover, you're going to heal too. You know, And but that's an important thing to point out, though. If for whoever hasn't finished these, it would be a really smart idea just to get like go to the Dollar Tree and get some gloves and wear them, and that might help. Not necessarily the cheapo plastic gloves, but you can buy like cotton gloves too at Dollar Tree. And I'm sorry if I don't sound very compassionate. Um,
Yeah.
I do appreciate your discomfort, and I am sorry about it. So
It's
hopefully,
my
does that
fault.
make you feel better?
Yeah. But it was all in all, it's actually just my fault for not watching what the hell I was doing. Because I'm known to be oblivious, and I'm due to my autism, I'm focusing on one thing only, and then by that time I realize something else is happening, it's already happened. So,
Yeah,
meh.
and you've already burned yourself.
Yeah, just like, oh, it's happened. I get over it.
No, I opened the editing window because I want to make these things a little bit bigger. I think I'll go back and edit that a little bit later, but some of what I've seen has made me very happy. And you'll notice, with the fact that we don't that my computer died and stuff like that, I'm really not worried too much about due dates. Do everything as much as you can according to the due dates, but if you can't, that's not a big deal because the last 2 weeks or the last week was my fault because my computer died, and I'm sorry about that. It was just something that happened that was really unfortunate. So I am, and every single person who has said, "Can I have another couple days?" or this happened or that happened, every single one I've said, "Absolutely, sure, take the time that you need." But what it makes me really happy is that you guys are pushing right along, even with the problems I've had with my computer and other stuff like that. You guys are moving forward, and I'm really happy to see that. So the next big thing is going to be artist research and PowerPoint presentation, but actually this next week, and we may extend this a week. I want you guys to email me about this too, the contemporary processes in conceptualism, because I spoke an awful lot about the stuff that I needed to last week. I want to introduce this, and I'm going to talk about it more next week. So the due dates, we're going to adjust those and spread those out a little bit more. All right. Because this deserves a little bit more time to look at. I want you guys to read this and take the quiz by Wednesday. And then I will add another several days to getting these things done. Because I want you to think about them. Now, Joseph Kosuth is one of the prime movers for today's understanding of conceptualism. And I am going to see if I can share this page with everybody. His 1 and 3 chairs is instrumental in the redirected understanding of art that we have in today's world, as well as it is fundamentally defined how we view conceptualist art today. This is this was a black and white photo taken when he first showed this in 1965, and this is how it actually looked to audience, to viewers who came into the gallery. Okay, well, the first, and we'll talk about ready-mades a little bit later, and the person who developed ready-mades is the father, the godfather, the fairy godfather of conceptual art. But Joseph Kosuth really defined how we understand it today, okay? And this piece is called 1 and 3 chairs. Why that title? And I'm just going to ask you to think about that, and I'm going to talk about it. We're going to go for about another 20 minutes probably, and then I'll readdress this next week as well. It's one chair because it's dealing with the idea of the chair. Plato was the one that articulated something called the world of the real, or the world of ideal forms, which is an imaginary realm that he hypothesized somehow all of us are connected to on some order or another. The reason he hypothesized this is when you see things, your brain is trained, you have trained your brain to categorize what you see and experience as rapidly as possible. So when you see something that is an object appropriate for somebody to sit on, your brain categorizes it as a chair almost immediately. Excuse me. And that is what Joseph Kossuth is addressing in this piece, that idea. This is obviously a chair, this center thing. It is a physical wooden folding chair. You can open it up, you can set it down, you can sit on it. It is a chair. When we look at this black and white documentary photograph, this photo is of this chair. So this photo is also a chair. It's not, it's a photo, so arguably you can't sit on it. But from where we sit, even though we can identify this as a chair, we also know that we're looking at an image of a chair. It's not a real chair, but it is an image of a real chair. And then this is an image of this real chair. And then this on the wall is text that defines what a chair is. So the one chair is that all of these things are different ways of looking at the idea of the chair. And the three chairs are the wood chair, the photo of the chair, and the description of the chair. So all three of these are equally addressing the idea of a chair, but only one of them you can sit in. So some of the things, when you come to this, some of the things you think about, or what the artist hopes you think about is, first, why is this in a museum? What makes it art? That's one question. Another is, why the title, 1 in 3 chairs? Another question is, how are all three of these related to the idea of a chair? And what the artist is doing is very quickly, as you're looking at this, as you're thinking about this, as you're pondering at this, the artist has created a dynamic dialogue with you, because you are thinking about and addressing and assessing and remembering things that relate to the artist's work. The only thing that separates this from being an actual dialogue with the artist is that the artist is not standing in front of you, because everything else, you're thinking about his ideas that he's presented, you're coming back to it with different ideas and reassessing it, you're redressing your first assumptions about it, and then you're reassessing your responses to it, and those responses, it's an ongoing dynamic process of thought revolving around this. And I think that's kind of exciting, because it's a way, when you do this yourself, it's a way of engaging your audience in a fundamentally different way than if they just look at an object and go walk on, because you are forcing them to think about it. And that's my argument regarding conceptual art. With every other kind of medium that we work with, the medium is the thing that people interact with. It is the object. Like if we created the chair, the physical chair would be the object. If we made the photo, the medium would be the photo. With conceptual art, well, I'll step back and say a little bit. When we create a photo, the tools that we use, the photo paper, the developing chemicals, all that kind of stuff. When we create a chair, the materials that we use are like the wood and the tools. When you are creating conceptual art, the actual medium that you are manipulating is the imagination of your viewer. And the tools that you're using are the physical things that you are creating to manipulate the imagination of your viewer. So where everything else, the medium is what people see. When you're doing conceptual art, the medium is what people are thinking. So, digest that a little bit and see what you think about that. But whether or not you believe that conceptualism is, an honorable thing, and an actual art form, I don't really care, because there's a lot of people that do think that conceptualism is a real art form. And as artists, whether or not we like it, we need to address that, and we need to be comfortable enough with it, that we can articulate our thoughts about it. Okay? So whether or not you believe that conceptualism is legitimate doesn't matter, but we need to be able to articulate our thoughts about it. Okay? And there's 2 projects in this. They're relatively short projects. And as you go through this, please tell me as quick as you can if there are issues with the links dying. Okay? I want to make sure that everything is good. Now, these conceptual artists that I have here, a lot of them will be doing rapping, and that's one of the big things we're going to be talking about. And others will do other things, but a lot of these deal with ideas of rapping or hiding. And the reason why that's important, and I link it to conceptualism, is because as human beings, we are naturally curious. And as soon as you start rapping something, it is one of the easiest things to do to fundamentally change your viewer's relationship with the art object, because suddenly they are engaged in a level of curiosity that didn't exist before you wrapped it. Because suddenly, just like around holiday time or birthdays, whatever, and people are giving you presents, you want to know what's inside the box. What's inside the box does not change, but your relationship to it does change when you realize you have to take the wrapping off. So you are engaged with whatever it is on a fundamentally different level when you involve wrapping. And these people will wrap things in different ways. Some of them will use plastic, some will use rope, some will use yarn, some will use other things. I mean, there's lots of different kinds of stuff that they use. And then we have Nick Cave. I love what he does, because he's essentially wrapping a human body with a suit that he designs. It's a functional suit that is sculptural in its own right. And the things that he chooses to make that suit out of are the things that create or make his work conceptual. And they incorporate sound and other things like this. So there's several different artists. Go through, watch all the videos. Tell me right away if any of the videos do not work. One of the artists I really appreciate is Judith Scott. Her parents, she had a sister, and when they were very young, her parents noticed that developmentally Judith was not on the same level as her sister at the same age points. So doctors told them that her sister would never amount to anything, that Judith would never amount to anything, and they put her in state institutions to take care of her. Well, Judith's sister did not really remember that very well. And growing up, after her parents died, she realized that something big was missing from her life. And she started a journey where she tracked down her sister Judith, found her in a care facility, and realized that her sister, their biggest problem was that she was deaf, and the doctors had misdiagnosed her. She was developmentally challenged, but because she was deaf, the doctors thought that she was irretrievable. And so when her sister reconnected with Judith Scott and moved her to a care facility that could actually take care of her needs and not just shove her in a corner, Judith Scott, that's when her artistic ability exploded, and she started creating these absolutely amazing wrapping sculptural pieces that are just incredible. So be very sure you watch those 3 videos. And here, the artist review, again, the artist review is for only the artists that are within that module, and follow those 4 paragraph prompts. What I would recommend is copy the prompt, each of the prompts down onto your paper that you're writing, and respond directly to the prompts in the paper, again, using just the artist from this module. And then this quiz, the quiz is going to be addressing these issues, specifically talking about color and texture, as well as some of the conceptualism that we talked about. And as you go down, be very clear, like on question 1, simultaneous contrast, value, hue, saturation, cool colors, subtractive color mixing. The answers that are correct are directly from the text. Okay? And the text is in chapters 9 and 11 of your textbook. And Nick, do you know who Roy G. Biv is and how old he is?
Oh, I believe I heard his name before, but I can't remember what.
Roy G. Biv is a memory device, a mnemonic device to help us remember the sequence of the colors in a rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. And he's as old as radiation, as the first time radiation appeared in the universe, which is about 17 billion years. So that's that's in the text. I was just clowning around with the age, but Roy G. Biv is in the textbook. Now the ready-made, this ties in with the very next step that we're looking at. A ready-made is a term coined by a specific artist, and that artist is in the textbook. And this artist did an awful lot of stuff. A lot of it was out of frustration, for certain, but he was instrumental in changing how people addressed ideas of art. And let's see. Sorry about this. I am behind the scenes. I'm doing something where I'm having a little bit of trouble manipulating stuff. Okay. His name was Marcel Duchamp. That is the fairy godfather of conceptualism. And ready-mades is something that he talks about and is talked about in the textbook. Now, there's lots of different reasons people use found materials to make art, and I'm going to pull you down here. This talks about different ways of addressing color in the quiz. But as we go down here, this is in reference to the found object question earlier. All of this will be found in your textbook. Found object art is when people take stuff that somebody else has already made. They're collecting it, they're doing, and they're reassembling it to make something completely different. Rauschenberg lived in an apartment in New York, and let's see, I'm going to try to, I'm going to find a picture of his work. But he made like 3-dimensional collages of stuff that he found. And I'm going to show you a picture of his most famous one. And this is probably not the best picture. So I'm going to share this tab instead. Okay, there we go. This is what he would do is he'd give himself a set time period and an area to walk in around his apartment in New York, and he'd find stuff that people had just discarded into alleyways and by the streets. And then he would collect it all, take it back to his apartment, and create these installations that were just essentially three-dimensional collages of other people's garbage. And this is famous. The title is Monogram. He found a tire, he found a stuffed goat, then he found a bunch of refuse that he smoothed out and glued to the floor. But what is really interesting is, yeah, anybody can do this, definitely. But he was one of the first to do this. And a big part of it becoming art is the fact that this shows you a window into his mind. And it's a three-dimensional window. So I think that's kind of exciting. And let's see, I'm going to go back to finding the quiz. Here we go. So that is what found art is. John Chamberlain would find crushed up metal cans, parts from automobiles, and he would put them together. Betty Saar, she's a super genius. I think she's amazing. She would find stuff that she found discarded or in bric-a-brac shops, flea markets, stuff like that, and put them together. She's a Black American, and a lot of her stuff, she says she's just found that they were interesting images to put together. But when you come away and see the body of her work, you realize that this woman has a really powerful voice, and it's a liberating voice as well. And so she does. The big difference between these, I think, are John Chamberlain's. His stuff feels a lot more abstracted, and Betty Saar's stuff is a lot more. I think it's more easily accessible, but it's a lot more to the point, too. And then Frank Crow, I really love what she does. She has a sense of humor, and when you look at this, I want you to think about the kinds of things she's trying to say in the particular presentation that she's doing. She will spend days collecting human-made garbage that washes up on beaches, and then she'll make these little bags of tourist trap type knickknacks for people to take home with them out of the garbage. And what's fascinating to me is it is a way of her gently reminding people what you do and what you throw away really matters. But she's not being confrontational and nasty about it. I really love what she does. And so these kinds of answer points in the quiz, really think about what you want to write down before you write it down. And you usually don't need to go more than 3 or 4 sentences. Like this, talking about George Segal. George Segal makes life-size plaster structures, usually casts of people that he will place in different situations, and he likes using really solid colors. And this, I want you to just think about, how does the color change? How do the colors in each one affect how you feel about what you're seeing? And the colors do have, this is almost the same thing. Both of these are women sitting on a bench, but they feel very different. And I want you to talk about how they feel different and how the color was used to make them feel different. So let's see. And I am leaning way back in my chair. That's why it looks like I've sunk down. I will also want to talk about, so we talked about contemporary processes, and now we're going to be talking about ready-mades and conceptualism in art. So a revisit to Joseph Kosuth, 1 and 3 chairs. This is interesting because this was a different display. He still has a wooden chair, photo of the same wooden chair, and then the description, but it's a different chair, and it still does the same thing. So And I also want to point you to Plato's allegory of the cave and his discussion of the world of the ideal. This is a really good link when I'm sorry, I'm not sharing this with you. Hold on. I'm so sorry about that. So when we get to ready-mades and conceptual and art, this is after the quiz. I talk again about 1 and 3 chairs, and you'll notice that this is the same setup, but it's a different layout for the definition, and it's a different chair. Still does the same thing. And then I'm also sharing a link to the allegory of the cave, Plato's allegory of the cave, and the world, his world of the ideal. Now, this is a Wikipedia article, and I normally don't link to anything like that, but I thought that this one was pretty decent. I want you to read through this entire article and think about it for a bit. And we'll talk about it again next week. And there's some really interesting things that I want you to think about in this, and ask yourself questions like, as you go through it, questions like, what is art? And how should art be defined? And I also include a short video. It's just a 3-minute video where Marcel Duchamp is talking about ready-mades. And I want you to watch that also. So for this assignment, what you're going to need to do is find an object that is already made. It's not going to be anything that you manipulate. It's not going to be anything that you're painting or touching in any way other than just selecting it. And then you're going to think about it in the way that Marcel Duchamp describes making a ready-made, and you're going to write about it and photograph it. Okay? In your write-up, you're going to write 3 paragraphs that essentially talk about what the object originally was, the function it served, and surmise or guess at its origins. So the second paragraph is going to be presenting your title, what you did to the object to give it a new meaning. Did you set it upside down? You put it on its side? Did you photograph it with dramatic black and white lighting? Did you put filters on it? What did you do to give it a new context, a new visual context? And then the third, how has it become a new art piece? So this one, you can't do the assignment without really thinking about Plato's allegory of the cave and learning about Marcel Duchamp and his use of the ready-made. So the second part of this is, after you do that, you're going to submit it with your photo and the 3 paragraphs all put together in one doc or JPEG as a submission. So it's not going to be a submission of a photo and then a document. It's going to be one document with the photo in the document. Okay. Then the second part is you're going to make your presentation and put it into the discussion format so everybody and can see what you've done. And as part of that discussion, you're going to respond to the works of 3 of your fellow students, commenting with a 25-word post for each of them that A, is framed in positive language, and B, references at least one of the 4 tools of artistic critique. So, and we can go over this again next week. I'm saying due date is October 31st, but I may change that to November 2nd or November 3rd. I'm probably going to. So we can talk, that way we can talk about it a little bit more. And if you've already worked on it, you can tweak it if you need to. So in this discussion, I revisit what that assignment was. And in the discussion, you're supposed to post your ready-made image with your commentary and then comment on the submissions of 3 other students. So that is the first of the 2 assignments. The second assignment is your colorful cocoon or wrapped object, thinking about the things that you learned from looking at those artists in the background section of this module. You're going to do your own wrapped object. Now you can take longer or shorter, but you should put some serious thought into it, thinking about what you're going to be doing. Now look, these are student submissions of the different ways that people had to wrap things. And if you read what they had to say about it, it's pretty remarkable, the thought that they put into it. So you can see that this is not just a drape a blanket over kind of thing. This person used saran wrap. They wrapped an entire ironing board. They wrapped the iron. Look at how they wrapped the iron. And they wrapped the clothes that they hung up near it. And they wrapped some other objects that were related to ironing. Within the board, as they were wrapping it, they hung different stuff. There are objects that were also related to it. So they did a significant amount of work. This one, the person took a lot of childhood dolls and toys and things like that and wrapped another larger toy with those smaller toys. And it looks completely unusual. It looks very different. This person tied a bunch of toys to different colors of string and wrapped some other objects with it. So both of these address ideas of childhood. And this addresses ideas of work within the domestic space. So they become a lot more than just draping something over somebody else. And even revisit the website for Jean-Claude and Christo, because you will see that they made sketches of what the thing should look like after they've been wrapped, and really thought about how it would look and how people would respond to it. So the second part of the Cocoon project is writing your thoughts on what validates the wrapping. And I'm going to go back to so you can see the overall layout of that module. So there's a lot of little things to submit. You're learning about contemporary process and conceptualism. You're learning about artists that practiced it. The artist review is going to be addressing these artists. The contemporary processes quiz is going to be talking about color as well as and texture as well as conceptualism. Then you're also going to be talking about ready-mades in the conceptual and art. And I'm wondering, if you have any suggestions, go through this, see what you think. If you have any suggestions about how I should better coordinate and relate this, then I'm happy to do that. I'm wondering if, I think we'll have it go. We'll leave it the way it is right now. But before you start turning anything in, I would like you to at least read through all the elements of this module. Then ready-mades in the conceptual with art. This is where you make your ready-made. This is where you make your ready-made. This is where you submit it for group discussion and comment on other people's ready-made. Then you're also going to be, this is where you're going to make your colorful cocoon or wrapped object. And this is also where you're going to be submitting your 3-paragraph write-up on it. So the reason why I'm having you write about the ready-made as part of the submission, write about your cocoon or wrapped object as well as part of the points for it, is because the principal work that you're going to be doing in the ready-made and cocoon is cerebral. You're thinking about it, and you're articulating what you think about the work that you're doing. So it can be a little unsettling to do this, but I think it's really important, particularly in a 3D design class, because we're not dealing with typical media. Again, the media that we're working with is the person's imagination, the viewer that you're interacting with, or that your work is interacting with. That's what we're working with, and the other stuff are just the tools. So that's why conceptualism and contemporary processes are so different than a lot of other stuff, because you are working directly with, you're sculpting the person's imagination. And then I just left the old due dates. We're going to change those due dates to mid-November. You're going to be revisiting your Mighty Voltron sculpture with the new things you've learned, and you can from the rest of the term. So we looked at texture and light. You're going to be revisiting your biomorphic abstraction by applying lots and lots of texture and color to it. And I want you to coat every surface you possibly can with color and texture. And then we're going to be discussing it. The discussion is going to be a big part of that. So next week, I'm going to revisit and go through the conceptual stuff a little bit more. So these due dates, I think we're going to spread them out. I'd like your input on that. And then we are also going to be visiting the texture and light portion of your sculpture. And again, you are applying this to the biomorphic abstraction sculpture that you've already done. You've made the carving, you've coated it with paper mache. Now you're going to revisit it with as much color and texture as you possibly can. Good examples of this include just coating it with lots and lots and lots of stuff. Before you begin, take a photo of your sculpture, and then of your biomorphic abstraction. You should already have it, because this photo is the photo that you took when you submitted it. And then you cannot do this until after you've submitted your texture and color cubes, because you are going to apply everything you learned about texture and color onto this sculpture. I want to see things where you have specifically picked your own color scheme, and that you keep to it. You know, if you're going to be doing it monochromatic or achromatic, or if you're going to be doing it using complementary colors, triad, doesn't matter, but that's how you're going to be doing it. And you're going to be applying texture to this. People have done things where they've collected feathers and covered the entire thing with feathers sticking straight out from the surface of the sculpture. Other people have done that with things like the helicopters from sycamore trees. Those are really interesting. Other people have done things where they've stuck pins in the entire thing, or needles, or some of the really interesting ones, people will pick different things to poke in, where in their biomorphic abstraction piece, they have used different pins in different areas. One person broke up, or several people have broken up CDs, and they use the shards to make a texture. And when they put the shards on with the points out, after a while, gluing all that on, it starts looking almost like feathers. You know, look at how people apply textures to their sculpture and think about that. And then you can paint it with different kinds of spray paint. You can use paint on different kinds of the texture. You can paint the whole thing, then apply your texture, or you can apply your texture and then paint the whole thing. I want you to be really as creative as you can be about this. And if you have any questions, talk to me, but we're going to talk about it more next week. All right. So hopefully that clears up a lot of questions that people have. We're going to talk a little bit more about conceptualism next week. So again, I'm going to be changing the due dates for that, as well as the sculpture. I can't remember what I called it. The Mighty Voltron sculpture. That's it. We're going to be addressing your biomorphic abstraction that you've already made by applying color and texture to it. So you're not making an additional sculpture for that. You are covering completely the sculpture you've already made with color and texture. All right, I hope that that is clear. All right, well, that's all I have. Nick, do you have any questions from what we've talked about?
No, I don't. Now I just have to hope and pray I do everything right the first time.
Well, if not, submit it. I'll make comments and then you can go back, fix it, and submit it again. No, not a big deal. All
Sounds
right,
good.
well, that is what I've got for today. I hope you guys have a great week. It feels to me that the computer has been completely fixed. One thing I'm noticing on my computer is that, it repopulated. None of the inline computer apps that I had put on were showing up. They weren't populating. But I just checked it again. Everything's populated. Everything's working. Everything's working just great. I picked it up from Best Buy a little over 2 hours ago, and it looks like it's working. So the Geek Squad did their job. I am very grateful. Okay, so I will get back on grading everything and answering people's questions. Please, before you ask questions, make sure that you've watched the videos. And for last week, I will put some videos up that will hopefully that will address some of the ideas that we've been talking about. And I hope people will watch those and make comments on them. Well, that's what you'll need to do for attendance for last week. I'm not going to make it super long. I'm just going to make it so you can get the attendance points, essentially. But you will need to watch the videos that I post. And then this one I will put online for this week. And hopefully that'll be up tonight or tomorrow, first thing. So I hope you guys have an absolutely wonderful week. I look forward to talking to you again next week. And
Bye.
have a great week
Oh.
in the meantime.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Bye.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
See ya.